All right, guys, so I am on page 166 for the area of trapezoids activity. For this activity, you will need a piece of graph paper if you have one, and scissors, a ruler, and a pencil. So if you don't have graph paper, then you can just sketch it on white paper, but you will need a ruler to find the midpoint. Or you can also, I'll show you how to fold the shape in half as well as another option. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about what a trapezoid is, because we'll draw any trapezoid on our paper. So a trapezoid is a shape that has matching parallel sides, but the other opposing sides are not parallel. So if we look at base 1 and base 2 of the shape, they are parallel, they will never intersect. But these sides will, if they keep going, they will eventually run into each other. And so these sides are not parallel. And so that is a quadrilateral with only one set of parallel sides. And that is called a trapezoid. So today, on our graph paper, we're going to figure out how they get the formula to find the area of a trapezoid. We've learned the area of a triangle. We've learned the area of a parallelogram. Today, we're going to introduce you into the area of a trapezoid. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw a trapezoid. So I'm going to zoom way out. You guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to sketch the top base. Doesn't matter what the length is right now. We're just sketching it. So I just did that, and then the bottom one is going to be longer. So maybe I'll go down here and make it longer like that. And then you're going to take your ruler and you're going to line up the corners of the lines. So you want it to be diagonal. They go through the corners of the boxes. So like that on one side, and then do the same thing with the other side. Okay. Now I have my trapezoid. Now I'm going to label the bases and the two bases and height of the shape. So base 1 and base 2, it doesn't matter if this is base 1 or base 2. They're interchangeable. And then the height it's the same rule as the other shapes. It's from the top of the shape to the bottom of the shape, and it forms a right angle. So I'm going to use this right here as my height. Okay, so that's the first step, is to draw on paper. So now it wants us to estimate if each of these little squares inside is worth a square centimeter. It wants us to estimate the total square centimeters within the shape. So what I'm going to do to estimate that is I'm going to count the length of my base here and the height, and then I'm going to maybe like take away maybe a little less than a third of it, just to kind of eyeball. Now it also says you could guess by counting every single square, and I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to estimate another way. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, right? Because it goes all the way over there. So 35. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 35 times 19. So let's round it to 35 times, well, 35 times 19. And then if I was to take away some of that, so let's just say 20 times 35 would give me what? 700. 35 times 2 plus 0. And then I can, I'll take away this, right, because it's not a full parallelogram. So I want to take away some of that. So after I do my 35 times 19, I would take, so I rounded it to 20, 35 times 20 would give me about 700, and then I would maybe take away like 150 or so. So I'm just going to guess that my shape is like, or I'm going to guess it's like around 500. I'm going to take away 200. So I'm going to say this is about 500 square centimeters inside the shape. That's just an estimate. So now we're going to figure out the real area. So what we're going to do is we're first going to cut out our shape. So I'm just going to cut around the entire thing. All right, so take away the rest of the paper. So here's my trapezoid. So now what it says to do is to find the midpoint opposite of the height. So if this is the height, I'm going to find the midpoint on this side. So what I'm going to do is just fold my paper in half, or you could, it should be, oopsie daisies, it needs to be on the line. Hopefully, I'm going to measure because mine isn't exact here, or you just need to make your cuts more exact because you want to make sure that your fold is on a blue line when you crease it. It needs to be exactly on a blue line. So I'm going to cut off the excess paper here that I didn't cut perfectly. So I'm going to make sure I'm cutting right along those blue lines. Okay. So now when I fold it in half and lighten it up, it should be, hopefully, oh, you know what though? I guess it doesn't matter because it could be exactly in the middle if it's an odd number for the height. So my fold ends up being halfway. That's fine. So I'm going to mark the halfway point on the opposite side. So the halfway point is right here. And then it says to draw a diagonal that goes towards the height. So I'm going to put my ruler like that on, it's matching up with my midpoint. And then, so I'm going to match it up and then I'm going to draw it to the opposite corner. Okay, so I made a triangle and I'm going to cut that piece off. Now, actually, before I do that, remember that this is base 2 and this was base 1. So if you cut off your labels, put them back on before you cut the triangle off. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and cut the triangle. So I have a triangle here and then this weird shape, right? This is a quadrilateral, meaning it has 4 sides, but it's not a triangle, it's not a parallelogram. So what could I do to make it a shape that I know? So play around with the 2 pieces of paper. How could you combine these to make either a triangle or a parallelogram? All right, so maybe some of you found out that you could put the triangle, and I'm actually going to get some tape here because I want to show you guys. So I'm going to get some tape and tape it. Okay, so now I've got those 2 things taped together. I've got actually a bigger triangle. So I've actually formed a new triangle. So if you look at it, how could I figure out the area, knowing what I know about a triangle, how do I figure out the area of a trapezoid? Well, remember we have our labels here. So I've got base 1 plus base 2. That represents my entire base, right? So base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. So essentially, I'm using base 1 and base 2 as my entire base for the triangle. So the area of a trapezoid is base 1, oops, B1 plus base 2 times the height, all divided by 2. So it's the same as the formula for a triangle, except for the base, you're using base 1 plus base 2 to give you the value of the base. Okay. Another way to write this that you might see is area equals 1/2 times base 1 plus base 2 times the height. So you might be seeing it written this way as well. Base 1 plus base 2, half of whatever that is, times the height. But essentially, you're doing the same formula for a triangle, except for you have to add the bases, multiply by the height, and divide by 2. So it's pretty similar, except for you just have 2 bases that you have to add together first. So let's see if I was right or if I was way off. So what I'm going to do is count the values for each of these. And so for my height, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, right? I said it was 19 earlier. So I've got 19, and then I said this was what, 35, but then we have to add, so this was 35, and then we have to add the base 2. So let me recount just to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Okay, good. So base 1 is worth 35, and base 2 is worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So base 2 is worth 20. So now I'm going to take my base 1, my base 2, and my height, and I'm going to solve for the area. So I'm actually going to get just a separate piece of paper so it's not so confusing with all this other stuff going on. Okay, so I'm going back to the drawing board. I've got my triangle. I'm going to use my formula. So what I'm going to do is take my formula, A equals B1 plus B2 times the height all over 2. So I will do base 1 plus base 2. So that was 35 plus 20 times the height of 19 over 2. Now I'm going to simplify that even more so that I have 35 plus 20 is 55 times 19 divided by 2. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to show you on the calculator. 55 times 19 equals 1,045 divided by 2 equals 522. So I actually wasn't too far off. So 522.5 centimeters squared, and I thought it was 500. So I was about 22.5 centimeters off. But anyway, that's how you do it. All right, so I want you guys to try cutting your own shape. if we need to rewatch it. And then your other assignment for today is the quizzes triangle, area of a triangle on quizzes.